Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully load our sign up page. So that means our sign up form and also that is our login form, right? So now I want to check it. Like here, I want to create one of the user. So here if you create, like I just name it as aryan@gmail.com. And I also define the password as udemy12345 and also udemy12345. So now I want to create one of the user, and for creating that user I have already defined this part. Like if you go to our app application, that means our app logging application, into the view, and into the view I have already created one of the function as a sign up function, and when it should be done, then it should be redirected to our HTTP response in our app logging, that is a logging, right? So I have already created that URL. So here I have already created one of the URL for the logging and also for the logout. So now I want to check it. So here it should be redirected to our login page if everything okay, right? So now let's check this out. Here I put our email address, a password and the confirm password. Click as a create account. So now it's showing some of the error. So it's showing as a not null and constant fail app logging user is active. Okay, so here it's actually showing this type of one of the error because of all in our model. If you go to our app logging and there is our model, and into the model area maybe I defined something wrong. So here that is our user text lazy active, and you can see here I defined that as active, but here we have to also make the things default as a true. So better after this I just make that as a default. Okay, I just make as a default, and default I make it as a true. So I just simply define that as a true. Okay, so make that sure you add it. So I just make that our this user will be as a true. It means actually if you go our logging panel, into the logging, if you go to that user, like right now I have already one of the user as an admin, and here this one, okay, that means this button will be as a active. So here I just simply make the things as a right now as a default, it should be as a true. When it should be as a true, that means it should be as a active. So here make that sure you add it. So now I just simply define as a default as a true, and now click as a save all. Okay, I just click as a save all. Yeah, everything is running well. So now I want to check it again, like go back, and I just refresh it again, and I just put that name as aryan@gmail.com and udemy12345 and also udemy12345. Okay, so here I define our email address, password and the confirm password. Now click as a create account. Yes, now you can see friend, now it's successfully created it. And when it should be created, as I told you, here I have already defined this part, it should be redirected to our this page, that means our app logging, and there is our logging page, right? So now if you want to also check it, like here right now I go app and go to that user, you can see there is another user is added as a aryan@gmail.com. So now I want to logging it. So here I refresh it again, and now I want to logging with our this email address, that is aryan@gmail.com, and also I define that password as udemy12345. And now if you click as a login, yes, you can see it's now showing as a logged in. So that is the response message I have defined. Like if you now go here, that is our logging portion. When it should be as a logging, then it should be returned our HTTP response as a logged in, right? So now you can see it's now showing our this logged in message. And also I have already defined our logout. So for the logout, when it should be as a logout, then it should be show our return response as a logged out, right? So now also for the logout I have created another URL. So this URL will be as a logout. So I want to access it, and now here if you click as a enter, now you see it's now showing as a logged out. So that is the message I have defined. So here I have defined that message. When it should be log out, then it should be return our response, that means the HTTP response as a logout. So now you can see it's now showing as a logout. So now I want to work for our profile. So for the profile I have already defined some of the field, right? So if you go to our model, into the model area, I have already defined one of the class as a profile, and this profile here I have defined some of the class. So if you want to access it, like if you go to our admin, into the admin, there is our user and also right now we have to actually log in. Because of all I logged in with the user, so I just simply define as admin@gmail.com and the udemy12345. Now click as a login. So now if you go to that our profile, and into the profile here you can see there is our S profile and the Aryan profile. So I have created both of these, right? So if you go here, so you can see there is actually the name. I didn't define any name for our aryan@gmail.com. So here if there is also one of the form, that is our username, the full name, address, city, zip code, country, and the phone. So now I want to work for our this profile page. Okay, so here right now there is our user. So I have already created one of the user as Aryan. So as I told you before, here I have set up this type of one of the condition. When any user will be created, automatically this user one of the profile will be created, right? So for the reasons here you can see automatically it's now created another profile as a for this user. So that is our user as aryan@gmail.com. Okay friends, so I hope you can well understand about it. So into the model area, so here I have already defined that things with our this receiver. So when any user will be created, automatically this user one of the profile will be created. So for the reasons you can see it's now perfectly created on here. So now I want to create one of the form. I want to create one of the form for our this profile, right? So for that reasons I have already created one of the page in our app logging. Here you can see I have already created one of the page as a change profile. So now I want to work for our this profile page. So right now we don't need this. Okay, everything is now perfectly working. Setting, we don't need this. There is sign up. Also we don't need this. So into the view area, first of all I want to create one of the function. I want to create one of the function for our profile. It will be just like that same our previous all that condition we have to apply actually. So here I just name it as a dev, and then I name it as a user profile. Okay, this type of one of the function I want to create. Also here we have to pass that request, and then what exactly you have to do, I just take one of the variable as a profile. So into the profile area I want to define our profile object. So make that sure you add that profile. You can see I have already added our models. That is our profile model. So from here I want to get all that our object data, right? So that means here we have to do, so into the profile area I want to define as a profile. Okay, so into the profile I want to get all that our objects data. So I just simply define as the objects and then get our all that object related user request data, right? So here I have to define that user equal to our requested user. That means right now which user is logging, so this user requested user data I want to get. Okay, so I just get this data and I take the things with this user. So that means right now if you logging with some of the user, and also after that logging you can actually access your profile. That means here you have to define your this user, that means requested user, which user is already logged in, right? So here I have already defining it, and I just take this data in our this variable, that is our profile. So after that I want to work for our form. That means here also you have to load our form, right? So I just simply define as a form, and into the form area, so here with our profile, that means profile form. So I have already loaded our profile form maybe. So here you can see there is actually the profile form I have already loaded. So with this profile form I want to do, so with this profile form here we have to define all that our instant profile data. That means which user is already logged in, so this user already have some of the data, right? So here we have to defining it. So here we have to defining it with the instant. Okay, instance. So with this instance will be our this user, which user is already logged in, right? So this logging user, all that profile data I get that things with this variable. Simple, I just simply pass it on here. I hope it's very much clear to you, friend. And now after that what exactly you have to do, we have to do some of the condition for check it or that post data or not, right? So I just simply define as a request, and then our method, and into the method it should be checked as a post, right? So that is our post, and then our form. So then our form here we have with our this profile, that means so with our this profile form, and here also we have to pass that our request post. So request and then post, and also here we have to pass our already which user is already logging. This user already they have some of the data, so this data I take the things with our instant profile, right? So here we have to pass it, and after that I want to do and to check it. So here if our form is valid, so is valid with this I want to do and to check it. Okay, so if everything okay, it will be save this form data. So I just simply define as a form and then save this data, save, and after that we have to pass it. So here our form data with our that should be just like that same. Here we have to also again call it. So I just simply define that things on here, so it will be just like that same. So here there is a form data, there is a profile instant, that means already this data when it will be saved, this data will be again saved into our instant area, that means instant with our profile area. Okay, and then also we have to load one of the page. So here there is a return and return the render. So return render with this request. Here we have to load one of the page. So here I define the page as a in our app logging. Into the app logging I have created one of the page. So that is our change profile.html. So I just simply define as a change. Okay, change underscore profile .html. So that is actually our page. Okay, and also here we have to pass it. So we have to pass our context. So our context data we have to pass, that is our form. So form will be as a form, right? So here I just simply pass it. So now I want to load our this form, that means our profile form, in our change profile.html page. So now go to our app logging and the change profile. So here we have to update it. So it should be just like our sign up. Better I just simply copy it, okay, because everything will be just like that same. And in our change profile here I just simply paste it. So it will be extended our base HTML, and also here we need our crispy form with the tags, and there is a block title. So block title will be as a profile. Okay, block title will be as a profile, and then our body block, and here we don't need anything. So here you can define as a profile. Okay, profile page. So this type of h2 tag will be visible, and after that there is our form and method as a post method, and also here I define that our form, right? And also here I define as a crispy, there is a CSRF token, and button will be as a submit, and here I define the class as a BTN. Better I want to use as a warning. Okay, I define as a warning, and then BTN SM, and then our button name. So our button name will be as a save. Okay, save. So this type of one of the button will be visible, and after that there is our form, so we don't need our logging. So I just simply remove it, and that is our BR. Okay, I just added another BR. Perfect. So that's all you have to do. Now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, and here also we have to create one of the URL. I didn't create any URL for access this profile. So in our view, into the view area, I just simply copy it, and here I define that name as a profile. Okay, so profile, and also into the view area I have created one of the function, our function name as a user profile. So I just simply define our user profile, and then I name this path as a profile. So now I want to access our this profile. So now if you click as a save all, so if you want to access this profile, first of all you have to log in, right? So here I have defined that part. First of all you have to log in. So now I am already logged out from to this position. So now I want to access our logging. Click as a enter and refresh it again, and now I want to put our email address as a Aryan. So that will be as aryan@gmail.com, and then Udemy 12345. Now click as a login. So right now I am logging. So now I want to access our this URL. So that is our URL as a profile. So after this I just simply define the profile, click as a enter. Yes, you can see it's now perfectly loaded our total form. That is our username, there is a full name, address, city, the zip code, country, and the phone, and then our save button. So if you want to update it, you can update it from to this area. So here I name it as a Aryan. Okay, Aryan Kazi or Aryan Khan. So I just name it as a Aryan Khan, and here I define that full name as a Kazi, Aryan. And also that is our address, so I just simply for now use the address as the USA. Okay, and then I define that city as a USA, put some of the description, that means zip code, and the country I define as the USA, and also here I define some of the phone number. Okay, so I just simply define some of the demo phone number. So now let's check this out. If you click as a save, yes, you can see every data is now perfectly updated. So there is a username is selected, the full name is selected, your address is selected, city, zip code, country, every data is selected. So if you want to update anything, you can also update it. So here I define as a Aryan K. So for the admin, I have already created one of the username as Aryan. So for the reasons here, I define as Aryan K. Okay, I want to update it, click as a save. Yeah, you can see it's now perfectly updated. So now here, if you want to define this type of one of the message option, like here when it should be as update, that means save, then it should be show some of the notification as a profile is updated. And also when you logged in, then after that logging, it should be show some of the message after the, when you complete your sign up, then if you want to display some of the message, how can display it very easy way with using the building one of the class in Django. In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.